until all have heard.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Friends in Action podcast. I'm Andy, and today we have a special episode for you. This is our second episode of our podcast, so we're excited to have Emily Lingle. She's recently joined our team as the communication specialist. We're excited to get to know Emily a little bit better, and we wanted for you to hear her story as well. So we'll learn a little bit more about her role and how you can partner with her and come alongside her through this journey. So, Emily, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Andy.
Absolutely. Great to have you with us, Emily. So let's dive right in. So, Emily, tell us a little bit about yourself and your family. Where did you grow up, and what are some of the key moments that kind of shaped your journey to this point?
Yeah, so my family is originally from Hershey, Pennsylvania. So that's where I was born and grew up until about I was 8 or 10. And then we moved to Grantville, which is a bit further out, but I like to say in the woods, very much in the mountains. So I've been there through high school, through college. I commuted to Hack and then to Millersville University, where I was originally planning a pursuit in music. So I'm a longtime drummer. That was always my goal to go professional. And so for college, I ended up going for music production and audio engineering as a way to be in the industry, but have better job opportunities than just going for a performance degree. So right out of college, I started working for an audio company, doing shows, going to different events with them, and I really enjoyed it, but I was also told, get out of the industry as soon as possible. It is very long days, very heavy equipment, just a lot of time away from your family. So I wasn't entirely sure if that's what I wanted to do full time. I loved producing music on my own and again playing music. God was just really growing a passion in me to use what I did career-wise to serve him. And so I ended up moving to Nashville in 2022 to pursue just that, the Christian music industry. I was going down there. I had some contacts for audio gigs, but also just to try and get into the Christian world as a drummer. So God provided a job for me at a drum company nonetheless. So that was very cool. He opened the door with amazing Christian roommates, which wasn't necessarily what was necessary for me to live with other girls, but it was just a blessing to get in with them. And I actually got connected through a church because of them and was able to play drums at the church and got connected to a really amazing Christian community down there. So I lived in Nashville from 2022 to about the end of 2023, so last year. And a week after I moved, I went on my first mission trip, and that week kind of changed my life. It was an amazing experience. It's hard work, but I also just loved, knowing everything I was doing was going to sharing the gospel with the kids that we were serving there. And so I was like, okay, Lord, I really love missions, but I just moved to Nashville last week, so I'm not sure what this looks like, but I'll continue down the road you led me to there. And yeah, in that year process, God just showed me that what I thought I always wanted wasn't necessarily what was best for me. And he just opened the door then with Friends in Action, getting into communications, which was different than music, but it was always an underlying passion for me. It's been a whirlwind, but I am very thankful for the lessons that, the Lord has taught me and where he's led me so far.
Very cool, very cool. Well, there was a lot of stuff in there, so I want to unpack it a little bit. So you moved to Nashville. Let me ask you, how old were you when you moved to Nashville?
I was 22.
22.
Yeah.
Didn't know anybody in Nashville?
A few people, but I would say I worked with them once.
Wow, so
twice.
22 years old, you headed out from Pennsylvania to Nashville.
Yes.
Pretty cool. Didn't know too many people, but you pursued drumming. So were you one of those kids that had a set of drums when they were younger, beating on them in their parents' house?
Oh yeah, thankfully, I will say thanks to my mom, and my dad did agree, but Christmas when I was 8.
When you were 8, you started drumming.
Started drumming. Got my first set.
All right. Well, you didn't share a little bit about your other passion. Can you share a little bit about what you like to do in your free time?
In my free time, I love to longboard, specifically longboard dancing, which is a thing. a thing I didn't know about until I moved to Nashville.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, but yeah, I tell friends a lot that I went to Nashville to pursue music, but I ended up doing a lot more longboarding than playing music half the time.
So, Emily, tell me a little bit about your first trip. You said you took your first mission trip where you really felt God calling you to do something different.
My home church, Living Valley Bible Church, they had a mission trip. Well, we were originally supposed to go to Nicaragua, but plans changed, and they had another mission trip that summer where they needed one more female youth leader. And so I was like, okay, Lord, what are the odds that, I'm trying to go on a trip, my trip I was planning to go on got canceled, and now this trip needed me.
Mm-hmm.
And so the trip we took was to Broken Arrow Bible Ranch in New Mexico. And so at this camp, they get a lot of Navajo, Native American tribes, children there, and just tribes from even the Grand Canyon, Arizona, New Mexico. During this week, they stay in a cabin with mentors, and through the week, they're doing Bible lessons. We do games for them. They have activities all day long. They have chapel hour. They have movie nights. But our goal and our job through the week as a church coming alongside to support the camp is that we all got jobs for the week. So that's cleaning bathrooms, that's helping with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, setting the tables, serving the food. We get assigned to a cabin, so we get to help and help the leaders in that cabin and get to spend time, get to know the kids there, and just kind of mentor them and just love them, because unfortunately for a lot of these kids at this camp, they don't come from loving homes, and this is a week that they look forward to. They get to go to the snack shop, they get money for the week, and they just get to have your full attention. And it just was a blessing to help with them, get to know them. We help with the games, so they're around us all week long. And what was really impactful for me was every Thursday night, each week, is a different set of campers. They do a skit night and then a bonfire. And the skit night is kind of the big turning point in the week for a lot of kids, where they've been there for a while, they've heard the gospel, but this night is where they really try and connect it with their lives. And just some of the skits are very serious. A lot of them just bring up things that a lot of kids deal with at home and they don't talk about it. And so after the skits is a time that most of the kids are invited to stay after in the chapel, and then they have leaders and other faculty that are around to come alongside the kids and talk with them. And this last year when I went, my entire cabin stayed.
Wow.
So that was a blessing, and yes, I was able to lead a girl to Christ at the moment. I know a lot of other people lead kids to Christ, as it's a time for them to really make that choice. Do I want to follow the Lord? Like, what is this about? This is connected, this is hit home. And so that was really impactful for me, just to develop that relationship. Missions, as I've learned, and as it's about developing that relationship of trust, so that you can understand their strongholds that the enemy has placed in their lives, preventing them from knowing the Lord, and just allowing them to share them with you, and then you can speak truth into their lives. And God is really doing big things at that camp, but the enemy knows it, and I've also faced the most spiritual warfare that I've ever faced at that camp. The enemy is very active. It's almost like, wow, like we are in a battle. And for me, it just kind of stirred that fire in me to wanting to serve on the front lines. And yeah.
Very cool, very cool. Okay, so you're in your early 20s, you leave home, head to Nashville, you're playing drums, you're riding, you're doing longboard dancing, you get to take this missions trip with Lebanon Valley Bible Church. We're grateful for the relationship Friends in Action has with Lebanon Valley and their heart for ministry. So what was the point where you got to understand FIA, even before you came in for your first interview? Like, what was that? Who introduced you to FIA? What did that look like that got you in the door?
Yes. I will say my mission journey was not super straightforward. And I think that's helpful, even just with the college kids that we've met. It's like, what organization do I choose? Where do I go? Because there's so many amazing organizations. A lot of them do similar things. So that was a journey that I was going through. So even before Nashville, after college, just, Lord, what am I doing? Where am I going? And I remember our pastor at Lingle Valley Bible Church, Pastor Chan, said one Sunday, get involved in missions. Like, if you don't know what to do, talk to me. Let's get involved in missions. And I just felt like he was talking to me. Like, I was just trying to find the direction God was calling me, which I know a lot of kids right after college, you're trying to find your direction, where to go. And so I ended up meeting with Pastor Chan. This was the beginning of 2022, him and his wife, and just kind of shared what the Lord has placed on my heart in serving and just documenting the amazing things he's doing around the world. What does that look like? How can I use music? And so they gave me the names of a few organizations that are very close to our church and that a lot of members of our church are involved with. And Friends in Action was on the list. And I do remember he speak about Friends in Action a lot, but ABWE was the first name that he kind of spit out. And I was like, okay, I'm going to look into them first. And he was like, well, they have a demo, so you should go to that, where they just share what they're all about. And so I did. And at that time, I was very, again, music focused, just graduated from college, trying to figure out how I can use music. And this, of course, was before I moved to Nashville. And so I got connected with them, and just the communication just kind of fell off the rails. Just certain people that were supposed to contact me didn't. And so I was just really wondering, like, okay, is missions it? This kind of fell off. You know, I'm really feeling I should go somewhere, but I didn't know what that was until, I will say out of the blue, God put Nashville in my heart, and I was like, all right. And again, I said I would never move to Nashville. I hate country music, and I said that for years, but yeah, God led me there, and he used that journey in Nashville as a way, again, to show me that his plans are better than ours. And I'm thankful he allowed me to experience what I thought I wanted, because I think I would have always had that what if.
Yeah.
And so I know, you know, missions is it. And how I got involved with Friends in Action was, it was the day I signed another year lease. I signed it, and I just had this feeling. I was like, I don't want to be here for another year. I am not meant to be here for another year. I felt it in my gut, and it was a really awful feeling. I just was like, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I was like, okay, well, what are my next steps? What do I want to do? Where do I feel God calling? And so I started looking into missions again, and Friends in Action immediately popped in my mind. And so that's when I really started doing research on who we are as an organization and what positions are open. At the same time, I was having conversations with my mom on what to do, and she is the one that brought up marketing and communications, as that was always something I did on behind the scenes. I did logos and graphics for my brother and my dad's businesses. I always liked photography, and I actually just bought a camera like the year before. And so I was like, okay, I have very little experience in that, but, you know, I'm going to give it a shot. And so that's when I reached out to you and ended up booking a trip home, and was able to meet with you and our executive director, Matt. And I just knew immediately when I met after our meeting, I was like, okay, this is definitely it. Like, this is where God's calling me. And again, going back to the year lease I just signed probably 2 weeks before I came home, my parents were like, well, how are you getting out of this? Well, the night, this was totally a God thing and was confirmation, you know, God was calling me back. But the night that Matt sent the email that you offered me the communication specialist position, 40 minutes after that email, a girl from my church messaged me on Facebook Messenger asking if I was looking for someone to take over my lease.
No kidding.
And I was like,
I
okay,
don't know that I knew that story.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I told friends, you know, I was looking into missions, not sure I'm moving back or not. Maybe I could do it remotely. You know, just wasn't sure, wasn't saying, oh, I'm moving. But she wasn't even there in those conversations. Her sister was there, but again, I never said I was fully moving. And yeah, It was that night. I said, okay, God, I guess I'm moving back.
That's amazing. That's cool. Yeah, I don't know that, again, Matt and I met with you a couple times. I don't know that came out. So that's very interesting to know.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So communication specialist. So for Matt and I, we were looking to increase our staff with the communications team. So we didn't know exactly what that looked like, so we kind of generalized it by saying specialist.
Yeah.
Because that gives us the freedom to give you anything that has to do with communications. But as that's developed, you've been here a little over a year now with us. You're still currently raising support as a support raised missionary on our staff. But you've been here a little over a year now. What has that specialist look like for you? Like, tell me what you're into. Tell the audience kind of what you've been doing, some of the roles that we've asked you to cover and fill in for.
Yeah, surprisingly, and also, which is a good thing, is a lot of my roles coincide with each other. So for instance, I do love taking photos for events and on trips. I really love that. And then also doing social media, managing all of our social media accounts, Facebook, Instagram, now on Threads, Meta Threads. But what's amazing about those two jobs is that they pretty much go hand in hand. I always need pictures for social media, and so I'm the one who takes the pictures. So I know what's available, what I've used already. So that's a blessing. That definitely streamlines my job in that. And then I also am a part of writing stories for our challenge magazine that comes out 4 times a year. And again, it's also helpful doing social media as I know what's going on, or just working on the challenge. I know what stories are coming out so that I can schedule my posts because of that, and kind of intertwining all of those. But I like to say I wear many hats. I help pretty much anybody with anything that has to do with marketing, just getting Friends in Action out there on the internet. I would say most of my time is spent managing social media, taking pictures, doing picture pages, pretty much documenting what God is doing through Friends in Action and sharing it with our supporters, potential supporters, people involved with our ministry.
Yeah, it's been such a cool transformation for our social media. It's something that myself and another staff member kind of managed. And again, it wasn't really her direct role. It wasn't a COO. It's really not my direct role to be doing social media. So it was a God thing, because at the point last year when you came on board, I saw the increase in the need to be out there, to get out on social media, YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and things. But I just didn't have the bandwidth to do it. And if many of you viewers have noticed an uptick in our quality of posts, that's because of Emily. And I'm just so blessed, and we're so grateful to have you. Even if it was just that social media piece that you did, we're just so blessed to have you do that. And your age and generation, what is popular, what gets read, what gets looked at. Some of the additional training you've gone through helped increase that traffic as well. So I still see some of the administrative part of the social media, and I see it increasing, and a lot of the people that reach out and connect with us. So it's kudos to Emily. I got to say that, because it's all in what you've created, taken what we've started and really taken it to the next level. So we're grateful for that. And even to this podcast, a crazy thought that I had to do at some point, but you've taken it on full-fledged. So I appreciate you doing that as well. What are some of the things that you mentioned what you're working on, some of the cool things with social media? Now you say we're on Threads. We're going to continue to work on increasing our YouTube channel, our podcast, of course. What are there things that grand scheme of things, big picture things, are there things you'd like to see us increase or do in communications for the years to come?
Yeah, I definitely, which again goes back to the original calling God placed in my heart, was to document what he's doing around the world. I would love to see, and I'm working on, once our trips start up for next year, is to documenting trip videos and really get into the stories of the places that we are serving in, and the missionaries and other organizations we're partnering with. I really want those stories to be told, doing end of year videos for our donors, so they can see the trips that we went on, and just where the support led to the different projects being done, and the support for our missionaries and our partners. So those are things that I'd like to see increase and to be done. And just continue trying to build our awareness for Friends in Action on the internet, not only just to show potential supporters what we're doing, just kind of putting it out there to the world, but also just so our already now supporters can really see where their funds are going, and inviting them to be a part of what we're doing, be able to see it kind of live action results. Yeah, pictures
worth 1,000 words, they say, and that's definitely the more and more media that's involved out there in the market. There's definitely a better opportunity to share our stories, and really they're God stories. So that kind of leads me into my next question, because part of this podcast, I want people to recognize that no matter what their skill level they feel they have, or what skill that God's blessed them with, I want people to feel that there's a way that they can support missions. They can tie it back into gospel work. So how do you see communications? You touched on it a little bit, but expand just slightly. How do you see communications, media, social media, helping spread the gospel?
Yeah, I'd say media is almost equally as important as going, mostly because you can go on a trip and you can support missions and do amazing things. God do amazing things through you overseas. But if people aren't aware of it, it's going to be a lot harder to get support to go do it. Missions is really pray, give, go, right? And we need people to go just as much as we need people to give and to pray. And I see media coming alongside missions in the fact of it helps not only encourage people to go, but also helps people to see why they need to give, or where they need to give, or how God can use those funds, and really where they go. Because sometimes you can donate to an organization and be like, is this really helping? Is this really going to anything? But media can really show you, like, $20 can do this, or your $50 has gone to this. And it really does show you how lives are being impacted, because I think not being on the field, sometimes it can be hard to see, well, is what I'm doing helping? I'm not seeing the results, but you're trusting God that yes, He is using us, for the greater good of spreading the gospel, lives being changed. And so media can help kind of give a glimpse of, what God is doing, how your role is supporting missions, how because you did this, this person was able to go and share the gospel, or because you prayed, God brought rain in this location that had a very big drought. And so that's what I want to document, that people not only, yes, are encouraged to go, but also are encouraged that what they're doing, that God is using it. And I think that's the biggest thing the enemy likes to use, is to think that we're useless, God's not using us, I can't do anything. And, he's right, we can't do anything, but God can, and God is using us, for His purpose, His plans of spreading the gospel. And every little bit that we give to the Lord, He can double, He can triple, He will use it and is using it. And so that's how I see media coming alongside other believers or supporters, and just encouraging them that, every little bit they give to the Lord, like God does not waste anything, He uses it.
Yeah. What's cool too is because social media is so easy to share with friends and family. So even prayer warriors out there, if they get to see a cool God story, they can share it with someone else and say, hey, these people in West Africa, we're supporting them with prayer. Check out this story of what God's doing. Would you come alongside with me and pray? So it's a continuing snowball effect that people can share throughout just different God stories that's put out on the media. So that's really cool. So there's probably a number of challenges stepping into missions a year ago. What is one of the challenges that you face kind of leaving the music, the music industry you were starting to get into, and then coming into a mission organization, and especially in communications with the ever-changing and ever evolution of technology? What do you see as one of the biggest challenges?
I would say there's a few. Some, I would say, sometimes can be more of a struggle than others. But as everybody who's gone on a missions trip knows, is that you have to be flexible. And I would say I'm a pretty flexible person, but sometimes it can be stretching when you just have no idea what's going on and you just have to adapt to everything. That can be challenging. We don't always know. I don't think you can plan as much in missions as you try. You don't have control. God has control, and He will change our plans and the direction sometimes, and we may not know why, but He has a good reason for it, and we just have to trust and just keep going with the flow, as a lot of mission leaders have told me, just go with the flow, be flexible, be fluid. And I would just say that even here, sometimes, a lot of my day-to-day can be pretty planned, but sometimes things will come up and you just have to be able to adjust and allow time for those adjustments and just be flexible. So just being here longer, I've definitely gotten more used to that and comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And I'd say the second biggest challenge, which because I knew God was calling me back, it wasn't the hardest thing for me. But I know for a lot of missionaries or people going to missions, support raising is always the hurdle. A lot of people can dread it because it's easier to go into a job and them saying, okay, we're going to pay you this. But for them to be like, okay, now you have to get a budget together, you have to get your prayer cards together, you have to go out and go out to people, ask for support, and kind of, I always like to call it, it's like your own business type of deal, where you know, you have to market yourself and what you're doing and just allow God to lead you and to trust and rely on Him. And I love people, I'm a big people person, but it was very stretching to go out and speak in big crowds of people, Sunday school classes, other churches I know nobody at, and just to share the mission that God has brought me to. And that was very stretching and an opportunity for me to grow, for sure. God has, every time I've taught, God has just been with me and spoken through me, and that's just an amazing opportunity. I think a lot of times when we try and keep control, we don't allow God to move through us, to do almost a miracle. I would say every time I've spoken in front of people, it's been a miracle, because He'll place things in my heart or just speak through me. I'm like, wow, I didn't think of that. And I think just going out of your comfort zone, you allow God to really show up and show you that He is with you and everything that He can do. So support raising was a hurdle, just, you know, meeting with people at night while working at another job and just trying to be involved here. You know, you're in a lot of places at once, but God really has brought people to me. I would say it's nothing I've done. Every ounce of the support journey has just been God showing up and providing the funds and providing the people, the opportunities, the friends to come alongside me and give me ideas on ways to meet with people, whether it's Sunday school classes wasn't even my idea. Someone gave me that idea, and it was a huge blessing. And just honestly, the people that God's brought into my life have been such a huge support and aspect of just telling people, you know, where God has brought me. And so for anybody that is support raising, I would say don't let that be a deterrent of where God's calling you, because He will provide. And sometimes we just have to get out of our comfort zone. And one thing that's always stuck with me is that God has not called us to live comfortable lives. And that
I like that. That's a nugget right there. God has not called us to live comfortable lives.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. And also, I think it ties into God does not call us to be happy. And that can be another thing. You know, we have joy because of the Holy Spirit. I think joy, pursuing happiness are very different things. And once you learn that, you know, pursuing God is where you'll find your fulfillment. The truest fulfillment you can find is pursuing God, not pursuing what you think will make you happy, which honestly was a natural experience for me. You know, I pursued what I thought I wanted. And yes, I was doing it for the Lord, but also it's what I wanted. And God showed me that, no, I know you better than you know yourself.
Yeah.
You know, follow me, and He does give us the desires of our heart. So,
very cool.
Good lessons learned.
So you mentioned support raising. Our staff here is Support Raise Missionaries. So it's definitely a faith journey. You just shared briefly about what that looked like for you. Where are you at in your support? Are you continuing to raise support? What does that look like for the near future for you?
Yeah, I'm about 85% in my support level. And just this past 2 months, I've had 2 donors increase their support by 100%.
Awesome. Wow.
So yeah, God is so good, and it's just been a blessing. And I think also just getting involved, being able to start really doing my job in June until now November, people have really seen how active I've been and what God is doing, and kind of, again, images are worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
And yeah, just being out in the field now, I would say a lot of more people have come alongside me and have supported me. And so I think the biggest hurdle, again, is just getting to that certain percentage level you need for your organization to start doing the job.
Yeah.
And then more and more people either get to know you or get to know what you're doing and want to come alongside you. As far as sport raising, just connecting with more and more people, getting the word out, and just sharing, what God has laid in my heart, and everything that, I'm a part of at Friends in Action.
Very good, very good. So currently Emily is working 3 days a week here at the office, but we'd love to get her on board 5 days a week as soon as possible, because there's always more to do and more things that we can help bring alongside tasks and additional communication things for Emily to do. So Emily, how can somebody, if people watch this podcast are interested in following you or hearing more about your journey, we'll put some links in the show notes, but explain a little bit how people can come alongside you and either be praying for you, support you financially, or just get to know you more. What are some ways that you kind of got yourself out there?
Yes, well, definitely need of prayer. There's always prayer for just, endurance, direction, encouragement. That is always a big one. And again, direction on what feels good to first. Next year, I think, is big on where to start documenting more in depth of what Friends in Action is doing where. But I have my newsletter that comes out every month. So that will share just personal life updates, ministry updates, Friends in Action updates, and just kind of what's going on in an organization, what events are coming up next. So that's a really good place to just kind of keep up to date with everything I'm doing. Again, I am active on social media. I share more in depth on my newsletter than on social media.
Sure.
I'm just kind of there
to
be there. I'll share a lot of Friends in Action things through there, but my newsletter is definitely the best place to keep up to date. And then if you feel called to support me financially, I do have a personnel page on Friends in Action, where donors can go and just support me, one-time gift, monthly. But prayer is definitely huge.
Very good. Well, we'll put a couple of the links to Emily's bio page on our website. We'll put that link out there. We'll put some social media links as well. You can always follow us at FIA USA on Facebook, Instagram, Threads now, apparently.
Threads.
So I'll have to check that out. I haven't checked that out yet. So as we wrap up, tell me one goal that you would have in the next year that you'd like to see happen in the communications department.
Oh, one goal.
Just one, just narrow it down to one.
I definitely would like to see another communications person here.
It shows you the importance of communication.
That I could partner with. It is a bit difficult doing a lot of different jobs. You can kind of touch all of them, but to really dig deep and to grow and to plan and to strategize each of them is quite difficult when you're managing all of them. But sure. I would love to have, whether it's somebody that comes on our staff to be here part-time, full-time, that'd be amazing, or just people interested in going on trips. We definitely need media people on all of our mission trips. So whether or not they do construction or can do welding or plumbing, we definitely just need someone to go and document again, just as a thank you to those who did support the trip so that they can see what was done, but also just to continually grow the awareness of what God is doing through Friends in Action. Yeah,
it's funny because we got to take Emily to the Canadian banquet recently with my daughter went along as well, and you could have used her as another photographer to get B-roll stuff.
Getting us B-rolls.
That's right. So even if it's as simple as just having a second photographer. Again, everything you guys are seeing out on social media. I mean, Emily's been taking tons of pictures, and they really have been great in promoting our events and our banquets and even the time spent in Canada. And one of the cool things here that I think I feel it's unique about FIA is the culture that we're building into people. And it was just neat to be able to learn more about Emily on our trip up to Canada and the way her and my daughter got along, and just a neat opportunity to spend time with our staff, not just in these four walls, but out on the road too. And just a cool relationship and cool culture that we're trying to build here as not just coworkers, but as brothers and sisters in Christ. And that's what's really fun about it. Well, as we wrap up, Emily, is there anything else that you wanted to share that's been on your mind or something you wanted to share with the audience?
Go like our social media.
That's right. Increase our social media,
Yes.
right? Very good, very good. So we'll put a bunch of links. Emily will end up editing the video and the audio, and she'll put a bunch of links in the show notes. So be sure to check them out. Emily, it's been a pleasure having you here today and just to share your story and the uniqueness of how God has brought you in. And we heard from Nicole last time. Now we're hearing from you. And we're going to continue to hear from different staff members because I think it's important that our viewers and our audience get to see that we're real people. We're just real people. We have a mindset that a missionary is someone that's retired and is sent off to the field and there for the rest of their life, sharing the gospel, boots on the ground. But at Friends in Action, we recognize that it takes support people. It takes a ton of support staff to help further the gospel. And just like my story and Nicole's story and Emily's story, God didn't call us into evangelism. He didn't call us into preaching or planting churches, which is typically done in the field. He's called us in to support them because as we support them, lives are saved and the gospel is spread. So there's a place for everybody in missions, whether that's praying, giving, or going. And we're excited to share Emily's story today. So thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy this podcast, and we hope you continue to check us out about every month where we'd like to post a new podcast. So as the traffic increases, and you'll get to meet more of our FIA staff. So until all have heard, we'll see you next time.